Welcome to Grit for Life Radio. I'm your host, Nate Parks. Hey, seriously, welcome back. And if you have been listening to us, or if you just started listening to us, I want to say thank you. If you don't know about us, check us out on Facebook. That's where we're mostly centered, but we do a lot of different things. We do live events. We do one-on-one mentoring. We do workshops, 4-week online workshops, mind, body, and soul. And we do this podcast. We also can be found on YouTube. But this is part two. Part two of, we've been looking at the acronym STOP. And it's part two of looking at the letter P, P being for preparing to push and then push. We took a look, there's 10 points that I want to make, and we looked at the first 5 in the last podcast. I'm not going to go back over those. If you haven't listened to it, stop this recording, go back and listen, and that way you can catch up and you know what's going on. But today we're going to look at P is for push, prepare to push, and then push. And we're going to look at points 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 and wrap this portion of taking a look at STOP, the acronym STOP, and taking charge of your time, taking charge of your life. Point 6 I want to get into is a growth mindset. You need to always, always, always be growing and not be fixed. Because if you are growing, then you're learning. If you're learning, you're growing. And if you're doing both of those, you are being able to take charge of who you are, your success, your life, your family. And this is something that I've lived personally for so long. And honestly, I don't even know where it came from. It is something that for the longest time, I have understood the importance of continually learning, continually growing, continually looking every single day, looking around me to find different elements that I can plug into. In fact, I think it was yesterday, I was given a book. And I've already got that book halfway read as of today. And that's along with everything else I'm doing. But I just couldn't help but just get into it and read it. And it's all about growth. It's about not only growing, but putting it back out into the world. So learning, soaking it up, and turning it around and giving it back. Because when you do that, you can build your team. And we've talked about this in other podcasts. I'm not going to rehash this, but grow. With Grit for Life, we have a mission statement. Our mission statement is teaching people how to motivate their mind, encouraging them to search their soul, and helping them build their body. Mind, body, and soul. And one of the things that we can do in order to ensure is, one, read. I know that in today's time, reading is not as big as it used to be. We're so distracted, but you have to take charge of your time to make time for reading. The book I just told you about talks about that, how important it is. And if you take a look at the successful people that, I think it was Warren Buffett says that he reads a book a day, I believe it is. And successful people, the key thing they will tell you over and over and over is read, 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 and read some more. And maybe you're saying, well, I don't want to do that. I don't like reading. You don't like being successful? Because trying to do it without reading, trying to do it without growing, trying to do it without putting new tools, I guess you could say, into your life and being able to implement them. Trying to be successful without doing that is like trying to ride a bike uphill without any pedals. It's impossible. You're not going to do that. You're going to have to push. It's going to wear you out. And you're not going to be able to do it in the way that you could if you took time out to read and learn new tools. So read, listen, and live. If you believe that people are successful only because of their position, resources, and even maybe looks, then you'll become fixed in what you do in life. And what I mean by that is this. If you have a mindset that says, well, Bob over there is successful because he's got all the good looks, or Jane over there is successful because, man, she was born into a wealthy family. She's got the money. It was just given to her. She's born with a silver spoon in her mouth. If you have this shuts you down. You are giving yourself an excuse to not grow and then in turn not be successful. What you are saying is, well, it's okay that I'm not successful and this is just the lot I've just been dealt in life. That's not true. I think of Dr. Ben Carson, a former presidential candidate. I believe that he is currently still in politics, but he started off in nothing, in the slums, and then became one of the greatest doctors this nation has known and even ran for president. He came from nothing. If you listen to know anything about President Barack Obama, again, came from nothing, became a president. There are stories over and over and over and over. Abraham Lincoln. Over and over, there are people who have come from nothing, were not giving anything, but they did not allow their position in life to be it. And they didn't make excuses. You don't want to have a fixed mindset. You want a growing mindset. I remember as a child hearing a story about the difference between a growing tree and healthy tree, and the difference between that and a dying or dead tree. You see, the growing tree can move back and forth with the wind and the storms because it's flexible. Its roots are deep. It's soaking up nutrients from the water and the ground and the sun. It's growing. But a dying tree or a dead tree has no flexibility whatsoever. And when that wind comes, it gets knocked over. Why? In order to make room for new growth. You have to make new growth. Make room in your life for new growth. Your time will come to a level that you will never break through if you do not do this. You're going to level out. And maybe you're there right now, but it's because I want you to take a look and ask yourself, am I growing? Am I actually doing things? One of the most frustrating things about being in motivational work and even in Grit for Life is knowing I have tools to help people grow, to help people get out of their mindset. I've lived it. I've been there. I'm not asking you to do something that I haven't done. But then I have people who constantly, I'm looking at their life and their life's in shambles. They're just spinning their wheels. They're doing the same thing over. That's one thing I can say about social media. It is frustrating, but in my line of work, it is unique. Is watching somebody post something on Facebook, and then all of a sudden, a week later, they post something else. A year later, they're posting something. It's the same thing. They're not growing. And so I reach out to them, and I say, hey, would you be willing to do one of our workshops? Would you be willing to grow? And usually, starting off, oh yeah, I'm tired of being this way. But the moment they have to start growing, the moment they have to start stretching, the moment they find excuses. Recently had someone that did that. I know that I have the tools to give this person that will allow them to be able to see a new life. But the moment it gets hard and the moment life starts hitting them, they gave up. They threw their hands up and said, I don't have time for this, sorry. Well, don't apologize to me because I'm successful. Don't apologize to me. I have not only been given these tools, I've implemented these tools myself, and I have been changed by what in an essence, for lack of better words, what I preach. So don't be sorry to me. It's not my life that's not growing. It's not my life that's not moving forward. It's yours. And I'm standing in front of you. It's almost like having someone in front of you has cancer, terminal cancer, they're about to die, and you have this bowl of applesauce, and you say, if you eat this applesauce, I promise you it will cure you of your cancer. And they excitingly get the applesauce, but then they remember they don't like the taste of apples. And they take a bite and they spit it out. And they look at me and they give it back and say, sorry, I can't eat that. And I go, but if you eat this applesauce, if you push through the taste of it and you eat this applesauce, it will cure you of cancer. And they go, sorry. Well, don't be sorry. I'm not the one dying. You have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to push through. Now, if you can embrace the belief that the more you know about yourself, the more you know about others, And the more you learn from the universe around you, you can gain what you need to overcome any obstacle. Did you hear me? You will have the ability to overcome any obstacle. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There's a reason it's called an obstacle. But if you can learn to learn more about yourself, more about others, and more about the universe around you, you will gain tools and power that you can't even imagine. I had, along the lines of not having someone who gives up, I had someone pull me to the side today that I've been working with one-on-one, and they saw me and they said, "Hey, you got a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we stepped off to the side, and this person was glowing, and they said, "I can't believe it. I just got offered a new job. I just got offered something that is mind-blowing. That a month ago I was miserable. A month ago I didn't think I would ever get out of where I was at. But you started talking to me. I started listening to your podcast. I started doing what you're saying to do. And it's like the world is changing." Is it the world changing, or is it the person changing? And that's what I asked this person. And it was like another epiphany. They said, "No, I'm changing." And I dare say you can say that that person is growing. If you can embrace that, you can gain what you need to overcome an obstacle. And you'll no longer have just a fixed mindset, that dead tree. You'll have a growing mindset. Again, growing is an action. We talked about yesterday taking that "I can't," which is a stop phrase, and changing it into "why can't I," which demands a response, which is an action. If you grow and you're growing, again, that's action. That's the common thread. You have to constantly be putting your shoulder to the wheel and be pushing forward. Consider, when it comes to obstacles and pushing forward, I want you to consider that within every obstacle, there's an opportunity. Now, I read a metaphor recently, and I'm going to share this with you, and I don't know where the metaphor came from. I tried looking, and I found it in several different ways, and in essence, several different versions of it, but the main version, the main storyline was the same. There was a king who had a lot of money. He was bored, and so one day, he went out to a road in his kingdom, and he put this big boulder right in the middle of the roadway. But underneath it, he put something, and he went and hid. And he wanted to see, is anyone going to move this boulder? Citizen of the country after citizen of the country came up to the boulder in the roadway, and some turned back. Others took a different course. But no one was really moving this boulder, and the king was sitting there just puzzled. But then finally, one of his citizens came and walked up to the boulder, walked around it a little bit, began to use their hands to dig out the ground around this boulder to create a trench that this boulder could be rolled into. It was hard. The person was sweating, worn out. Finally, the person was able to get the boulder moved. And to the citizen's surprise, underneath the boulder was a very big bag of gold. You see, what was an obstacle became a reward, became an opportunity. I've seen this over and over in my life. When you begin to grab this mindset of growth, when you begin to grab this mindset that we talk about a lot of times in Grit for Life, you will begin to see how the universe works. I have had things over and over in my life where I was headed in one direction and I came across an obstacle and I thought, oh my God, my life is ended. My life is bad. This is horrible. Life is just never has been so bad. But when I began to start changing my mindset on how I looked at the obstacles, what I discovered was it was rerouting me. It was preparing me, or it was giving me strength. As the strength I gained in getting over that obstacle or moving that obstacle helped me. And it set me on a different path, or a better path, or with a stronger mindset that would help me in the future. When I take a look at all the things I've done in my life, I'm amazed because I can look back and start connecting the dots. A little over a year ago, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I went through some things. And I thought my life was over. I mean, I really did. I had been working what I considered probably my dream job. And overnight it was gone. I didn't know what to do. But fast forward to a year later, I realized that dream job actually wasn't a dream job. That dream job was killing me. It was killing me. It was killing my family. But I would have never left it if it hadn't been for the obstacles that came in my way. And yes, those obstacles were hard, and they were hard to overcome, and they took a year to get over. And it has done some numerous just stirring up and tilling of the ground of me and my family. But now I am standing in a position that I would not have had, and opportunities that have opened up that I would not have seen if I had stayed there. If I had just given up. If I had not overcome the obstacle. Consider that within every obstacle, there's an opportunity. This is something I talked to someone again today about. I want you to observe your emotion. When it comes to how you push forward, how you handle things that come in your life, I want you to observe your emotions. Emotions are powerful. And emotions set us off. Good and bad. Emotions are not always bad. Emotions can be good. But the thing about emotions are, they also demand to be in control. And we have to be aware of that. This ties in the O, the observing part of stop. Tying it into the O, observing your emotions. Observe how you react. Observe how your reaction affects your decisions and the outcome. You see, your emotions are real, and I don't want you to dismiss them, because your emotions, you need to sit with them for a little bit. But you don't let them keep you there. You don't let them become your prisoner. Look at your emotions. Observe them, analyze them, figure out how they work toward your success, and then move forward. Because they are real and they do have an effect on what you do, so do not avoid them. And do not close them off. But what I don't want you to do is give your emotions the authority in your life. You keep control of your emotions. You see, when we can do that, we can use that to propel us forward. Sadness can help us realize, man, I don't want to be here again. Loss makes us go, so that's how that feels. Next time I experience loss, I'll be ready for it. There are things that I do in life that I know. I know that with every up, there's a down. There are days, there's weeks, there's months that I may be on this euphoric high of just passion and motivation and excitement, but I know that can't last because it's an emotion. Same with sadness, same with loss. I've experienced each of those. I have lost very, very close friends. And there's times that their death still affects me. But because I know and I observed those emotions, I recognize them, and I'll sit with them for a bit. But then I ask myself, now what do I need to do? How do I not let this control me? How do I move forward? And I look for answers. I look for growth. And I look to take charge. Number 9 is manage your time. And we have talked about this when it comes to the taking charge of your time. And that's what the last few podcasts have been about, is about your time. Because this is your time. Obstacles will come. They're a part of your life. When we are not aware of ourselves and we're unable to manage the time and take charge of it, then most of the time the obstacles will fall into our path in a fashion that destroys our momentum. Because obstacles come when we least expect it. And if you are not ready for them, if you haven't observed yourself, learn to manage your time by growing, learning to take care of yourself mentally and physically, mind, body, and soul. You haven't figured out how to be strong within each aspect of stop, then when those obstacles come, they will come. And it may set you back, and now you'd have to try to catch up. There was an Egyptian, I don't know, I can't remember if he was an author, I can't remember, but by the name of, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Yosr el-Dakhs, and that's Y-O-S-R, and then L-E-L-D-A-K-H-S. And he made a statement, and this is number 10. Better to cross the line and suffer the consequences than just stare at the line for the rest of your life. Let me tell you, it is time. It is time. It is time. It is time for you to stop, which means search your soul, take charge, observe yourself and others, and prepare to push, and then push. We give you the tools. We are available for you to reach out to us. You can reach out to me at gritforlife2015@gmail.com. You can look us up on Facebook at Grit for Life. You can message me there. You can reach out to our other leaders. We have the tools and we provide the tools. It is now up to you. How are you going to spend your time? How are you going to take charge of your time? And how are you going to be successful?